The night shift at NASA's Deep Space Communications facility in New Mexico was usually quiet. Dr. Alan Wright liked it that way. The soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of incoming data made for a peaceful work environment. At 45, with graying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, Alan had spent most of his life listening to the stars. Tonight, the stars finally answered back. It was 2:17 a.m. when Alan noticed the anomaly. A routine signal check showed something, bouncing back from the edge of our solar system. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth sent countless signals into space every day. They weren't supposed to return. "Hey, Carol, can you look at this?" Alan called to his colleague. Carol Miller pushed her chair across the room. At 38, she was the facility's best signal analyst. "What am I looking at?" "This return signal. It's one of ours, but it's been changed." Carol's eyes widened as she stared at the screen. "That's impossible. Let me run a trace." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "It's a video message sent to the Mars colony 7 years ago. But there's something else embedded in it now. Some kind of signature that's definitely not ours." Alan felt his heart rate quicken. "Can you play it?" The screen flickered to life. A young woman with blonde hair appeared, smiling directly at the camera. The background showed a simple living room with a bookshelf and a plant. "Hey, Ben." "Happy birthday, big brother. Mars is so far away, but I'm sending all my love across space. Mom and Dad say hi too. We miss you. Come home safe when your rotation ends. Love you." The video lasted exactly 12 seconds. The woman waved at the end, her smile bright and genuine. "That's it?" Alan asked. "Just a birthday message?" Carol nodded. "From Lisa Carter to her brother Benjamin Carter. He was part of the third Mars mission. Nothing special about this transmission, except that something out there caught it, studied it, and sent it back to us," Alan said. His voice was barely above a whisper. Carol pointed to a string of code attached to the video, and whatever sent it back added this. "It's not any programming language I recognize." Alan stared at the strange symbols. "We need to call Director Peterson. Now." 3 hours later, the facility was buzzing with activity. Director Samantha Peterson had assembled a team of experts, including Dr. Olivia Reyes, the nation's top cryptographer. Her specialty was breaking impossible codes. "The video appears untouched," Olivia explained to the crowded room. "But the metadata has been completely transformed. There are coordinates embedded in the code, a location just beyond Jupiter's orbit." Director Peterson, a tall woman with a commanding presence, asked the question everyone was thinking. "Are we looking at first contact?" "It appears so," Alan replied. "Something intercepted this transmission, analyzed it, and sent it back with what looks like an invitation." "How can you be sure it's an invitation and not a threat?" asked a military officer. In the back. Olivia pointed to her decoded notes. "The signal pattern suggests a meeting time exactly 1 month from today. If they wanted to harm us, why give us time to prepare? Why send back such an innocently human moment?" As the room erupted in debate, Alan's phone buzzed. It was a government alert. The video had been leaked online. Within minutes, Lisa Carter's 12-second birthday message had gone viral worldwide. News outlets were breaking into regular programming. Social media was exploding with theories. By noon, the United Nations had called an emergency session. Representatives from every major space agency were flying to New York. The world's most powerful telescopes were being aimed at the coordinates beyond Jupiter. Alan found himself on a secure video call with the President of the United States. "Dr. Wright, give me your honest assessment. What are we dealing with here?" the President asked, looking tired and concerned. "Mr. President, I believe we've been noticed by an intelligence far beyond our own. They've reached out in what appears to be a peaceful manner. They could have sent back anything, military communications, classified transmissions, but they chose a simple expression of human connection. A birthday wish from a sister to her brother. And the coordinates? The meeting invitation? It would take our fastest ship, the USS Horizon, approximately 3 weeks to reach that location. We would arrive just in time for whatever meeting they're proposing. The president nodded slowly. We're prepping the Horizon now. We're selecting a crew. Your name is on the short list, Doctor. Alan felt his mouth go dry. Sir, I'm not an astronaut. No, but you understand this signal better than anyone. We need you up there. After the call ended, Alan sat in silence for several minutes. Then he walked to the main communications room, where Olivia was still working on the alien code. Have you learned anything new? He asked. Olivia tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear. The code is becoming clearer. It's mathematical at its core, but there are patterns that suggest language. I think they're trying to establish basic communication protocols for when we meet them, Alan said. Exactly. Olivia looked up from her screen. There's something else. I've been studying the video itself, frame by frame. There's nothing hidden in it, nothing special at all. It's just ... human. A woman who loves her brother. Alan nodded. Maybe that's exactly why they chose it. The next day, Alan met Lisa Carter. In person. The FBI had brought her in for questioning, though she clearly knew nothing about why her video had been selected. At 29, she looked much like she had in the video, though her eyes now carried the weight of sudden, unwanted fame. My brother Ben is on his way back from Mars, she told Alan. They're bringing him home early because of all this. I still can't believe my silly birthday message is the first thing aliens saw of us. Not the first thing, Alan corrected her, but perhaps the most important. Out of all our transmissions, our news broadcasts, our military communications, our scientific data, they chose your message to send back. Lisa looked troubled. But why? I think, Alan said carefully, because it shows something essentially human. Love, family connection. These might be universal concepts, even among the stars. 1 week later, Alan found himself boarding the USS Horizon alongside 5 other crew members. Dr. Olivia Reyes would be going as their communications expert. Captain Frank Bennett would command the mission. Lieutenant Kate Morris would handle security. Dr. Greg Patel was their xenobiologist. And to everyone's surprise, Steve Carter, Lisa's other brother, had been selected as their engineer. Your sister's video started all this, Captain Bennett told Steve during their first briefing in space. The brass thought having you along might give us some insight into why that particular message was chosen. Steve nodded. Lisa's always had a way of reaching people. Guess that extends to whatever's waiting for us out there. As Earth shrank behind them and Jupiter grew ahead, Alan spent his nights watching the stars through the ship's observation deck. Somewhere out there, waiting beyond the orbit of our solar system's largest planet, was humanity's future. In 1 month, they would meet whoever or whatever had watched a young woman's birthday. Wishes and decided humans were ready for the next step. 2 weeks into their journey, the USS Horizon had passed the orbit of Mars and was now approaching the asteroid belt. Life aboard the spaceship had fallen into a routine. The 6 crew members spent their days preparing for every possible scenario they might face at the meeting point beyond Jupiter. Alan Wright sat in the ship's lab, watching Lisa Carter's video for what must have been the 100th time. The 12 seconds of footage had become the most studied piece of media in human history. Scientists on Earth were still analyzing every pixel, every sound wave, searching for clues about why this particular message had been chosen by the unknown. Intelligence. Find anything new? Steve Carter asked as he entered the lab. Unlike his sister in the video, Steve had dark hair and serious eyes. As the ship's engineer, he spent most of his time making sure the Horizon systems were running perfectly. Nothing we haven't seen before, Alan admitted. Just a simple birthday message. Steve leaned against the wall. Lisa always kept things simple. Even as kids, she could say more with a few words than most people could with a speech. In another part of the ship, Dr. Olivia Reyes was making progress with the alien code. She had determined that the signature attached to the return video contained not just coordinates, but also basic mathematical principles. It was as if the unknown intelligence was offering a starting point for communication. They're trying to establish common ground, she explained to Captain Frank Bennett during their daily briefing. Captain Bennett was in his 50s, with a weathered face that showed years of space travel. Mathematics is universal. 2 + 2 = 4 everywhere in the cosmos. What about their technology? The captain asked. Can you tell how advanced they are? Olivia shook her head. The fact that they intercepted our signal suggests they're beyond our capabilities, but how far beyond is impossible to say. Lieutenant Kate Morris was more concerned with security. The young military officer spent hours running simulations in the ship's virtual reality chamber, preparing for both peaceful exchange and potential threats. We need to be ready for anything, she insisted during a training session with the crew. First contact scenarios in human fiction range from beneficial exchange to total annihilation. If they wanted to harm us, they would have done so already. Dr. Greg Patel pointed out. As the mission xenobiologist, his job was to anticipate what alien life might look like. They've had 7 years since they intercepted the message. Why wait? To study us, perhaps, Kate suggested, or to prepare. As Jupiter grew larger in their viewports, tension aboard the Horizon increased. They were now just 3 days from the meeting coordinates. Sleep became difficult for most of the crew. Alan often found himself in the observation deck during the ship's night cycle, staring out at the stars. On one such night, he was surprised to find Steve already there, floating near the large window. Couldn't sleep either? Alan asked. Steve shook his head. Keep thinking about Lisa. She's become the face of humanity to whatever's waiting for us. And she never asked for any of this. How's she handling the attention back on Earth? Better than most would, Steve said with a hint of pride. She's been working with NASA to help people understand what's happening, keeping panic down. Alan nodded. Reports from Earth showed a world changed by the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe. Some people celebrated in the streets. Others hid in bunkers. Religious leaders sought meaning in ancient texts. Scientists worked around the clock to prepare for the new reality. Do you ever wonder, Steve asked quietly, if they picked her message because of what she represents? Lisa has always been the best of us. Kind, hopeful. Alan had wondered the same thing. If I were going to judge humanity based on a single transmission, I could do worse than your sister wishing her brother a happy birthday. The next morning, Dr. Patel called an emergency meeting. His eyes were wide with excitement as the crew gathered in the command center. I've been running analyses on the space ahead of us, he explained, pulling up a holographic display. There's something there. Multiple somethings, actually. The display showed 5 distinct objects at the meeting coordinates. They were still too far away to see details, but the objects were clearly artificial and unlike anything humans had. Built. They're already waiting for us, Captain Bennett said, his voice tense. 5 objects, Olivia noted. 5 different ships? Or 5 parts of one larger structure, Kate suggested. The captain made a decision. We'll approach slowly and maintain our course. They invited us here. Let's see what they want. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. Alan and Olivia worked to refine their communication strategies. Kate ran final security checks on the ship's systems. Greg prepared his biological containment protocols, in case they encountered actual alien life forms. Steve ensured the ship's engines and life support were functioning perfectly as they neared the coordinates. The 5 objects became clearer. They were indeed separate vessels, each with a completely different design. One was spherical and seemed to glow with internal light. Another was long and angular like a crystal. The third resembled a cluster of bubbles. The fourth was a dark, spinning ring. The fifth looked almost biological, with curves and patterns like a seashell. 5 different ships, Alan whispered as they appeared on the main screen. 5 different species? Captain Bennett opened a channel. This is Captain Frank Bennett of the Earth vessel USS Horizon. We received your invitation and have come as requested. For a long moment, there was no response. The crew held their breath. Then, their communication system came to life with a series of mathematical patterns, the same patterns Olivia had discovered in the alien signature. They're responding, Olivia said, her fingers flying over her console. Using the communication baseline I established. I think they're saying hello. One by one, the 5 ships began transmitting data to the horizon. Images appeared on there. Screens glimpses of 5 entirely different worlds and the beings that inhabited them. The spherical ship showed crystalline entities that communicated through patterns of light. The angular vessel revealed gaseous beings contained in mechanical suits. The bubble cluster was home to blue-skinned, aquatic humanoids. The spinning ring contained insect-like creatures that moved in perfect synchronization. The shell-shaped craft held beings that resembled walking trees with silicon-based biology. 5 species, Greg said in awe, all in one place, all responding to some kind of invitation, just like us. As the images continued to stream in, Alan noticed something. Each alien transmission included a short video clip just like Lisa's birthday message. One showed crystal beings exchanging light patterns. Another displayed gas clouds whirling in what might have been a dance. The aquatic beings shared food in an underwater garden. The insect creatures built a complex structure. Together, the tree-like aliens released spores in a colorful display. They all received something back, Alan realized. Just like we did, something innocent and characteristic of their species. Someone brought us all here, Captain Bennett said. All 6 species. But who? And why? The answer began to take shape as the ships arranged themselves in a perfect pentagon around the horizon. Earth's first contact would not be with one alien civilization, but with 5 all seemingly as confused and curious as humanity about who had summoned them to this distant corner of space. The next 24 hours aboard the USS Horizon were unlike anything human history had prepared them for. The 6 ships, 1 human and 5 alien, maintained their positions in space, forming a perfect geometric pattern with Earth's vessel. At one point of a hexagon, a careful dance of communication had begun. Dr. Olivia Reyes barely slept as she worked to establish reliable translation protocols with each of the 5 species. Using mathematics as a foundation, she built basic language, bridges that allowed for simple exchanges of information. It's remarkable, she told the crew during their morning briefing. Each species developed completely different methods of communication based on their biology, yet all of us understand mathematical principles in the same way. Captain Bennett leaned forward. What have we learned about them so far? Olivia displayed holographic representations of each alien species. We're calling them by the names they've given themselves, though these are approximate translations. She pointed to the crystalline beings from the spherical ship. The Argelans communicate through patterns of light. They have no concept of sound as we understand it. Next came the gaseous entities. The Vex exist as collections of intelligent gas. The mechanical suits they wear allow them to maintain their form and interact with solid matter. The blue-skinned Humanoids appeared next. The Meridians evolved in ocean environments. They have 6-fingered hands and can breathe both water and air. Then the insect-like creatures. The Tholians function through a hive-mind connection. What appears to be individuals are actually parts of a single consciousness. Finally, the walking tree beings. The quarry are silicon-based life forms. They live for hundreds of years and can regrow lost limbs. Alan Wright studied each image carefully. And they all received the same type of message we did? Something sent back to them? Yes, Olivia confirmed. Each species had transmitted something into space. A greeting, a scientific measurement, a cultural artifact, and each had their transmission returned to them with the same coordinates we received. Dr. Greg Patel had been analyzing the biological data they were receiving. The odds of 6 intelligent species evolving independently and reaching space travel capability within the same time period are astronomically small. There must be a connection. Lieutenant Kate Morris remained cautious. We need to establish why we've all been brought here before we share too much about Earth or our capabilities. Captain Bennett made a decision. Dr. Reyes, ask each species if they would be willing to share exactly what was returned to them, the equivalent of our video message. Over the next few hours, the 6 species exchanged the returned messages. The Argelan transmission showed a light pattern ceremony used to welcome new crystal formations into their society. The Vex shared a gas cloud dance performed during their energy cycles. The Meridians displayed an underwater ritual where food was shared with the entire community. The Tholian message showed their species building a structure together, each individual playing a precise role. The quarry transmission featured a spore-releasing ceremony that helped create new life. These are all peaceful, Steve Carter observed. All of them show some kind of ... connection. Community. Alan nodded slowly. Just like Lisa's message to her brother. They all show relationships, caring for others. Not just any relationships. Olivia added, family bonds, community rituals, creation of new life, sharing resources. These are fundamental social behaviors. A new message came in from the Meridian ship. Their blue faces appeared on the main screen as their words were translated by Olivia's system. We have analyzed the pattern of our ships in space, the Meridian leader said. The formation is significant. It creates a specific geometric field. The quarry transmitted next. In our ancient records, there are mentions of the architects, a species that may have existed millions of years ago. They were said to have seeded the galaxy with the building blocks of life. The Tholian collective mind added, our astronomical data suggests this location was chosen because it sits at a unique point where stellar radiation patterns intersect. It is a node in the fabric of space. Captain Bennett exchanged glances with his crew. Dr. Wright, what do you make of this? Alan had been studying the spatial arrangement of their ships. If the 6 of us are positioned in a specific pattern, perhaps we're meant to do something together. Maybe we're a key of sorts. The Vex representative's gas form swirled in its containment suit as it transmitted. We have detected unusual energy. Readings at the center point between our vessels. There is something there, something invisible to normal sensors. Dr. Patel adjusted the horizon's scanning equipment. They're right. There's a distortion in space-time at the exact center of our formation. It's as if the fabric of reality is thinner there. The Argelan light patterns flashed rapidly as they communicated. In our oldest records, there are descriptions of gateways between stars placed by those who came before. Points where knowledge could be shared across vast distances. Lieutenant Morris reviewed the security scans. Whatever's happening, it's affecting all our ships equally. Power levels are fluctuating in a synchronized pattern. Steve had been unusually quiet, watching his sister's video message again. Suddenly, he straightened. I just noticed something. The way Lisa waves in the video, it's not random. He played the clip again, focusing on Lisa's hand movement. Look at the pattern she makes. 1, 2, 3, pause, 2 more. It's a mathematical sequence. Alan and Olivia watched carefully. You're right, Olivia said, and it matches one of the patterns in the spatial distortion. They quickly checked the other species' returned messages. Each contained subtle patterns, movement sequences, light flashes, bubble formations, wing, positions, and branch configurations that corresponded to mathematical formulas. These weren't random selections, Alan realized. Whoever sent these back to us chose messages that contained these specific patterns we created unconsciously in our most natural behaviors. Captain Bennett addressed all 5 alien vessels. We believe our returned messages contain patterns that may activate whatever is at the center of our formation. Each of us was chosen because our messages contained these sequences embedded in our natural behaviors. The Meridian leader responded, if we combine the patterns from all 6 messages, perhaps we can unlock whatever lies between us. The ships began transmitting the specific sequences from their messages toward the central point. From the horizon, they sent the exact wave pattern that Lisa had made in her video dot. As the 6 patterns converged in the center of their formation, the space between them began to shimmer. The distortion grew more pronounced, energy readings spiked, and a soft blue light began to form. Something's happening, Captain Bennett said, his voice barely above a whisper. The blue light expanded, forming a perfect sphere between their ships. Inside the sphere, images began to appear: stars, planets, galaxies, and what looked like vast libraries of information. It's opening, Alan said in awe. The quarry transmitted. It is as our legends described. A repository of knowledge left by the architects. The Tholians added, we are being tested. Our worthiness to access this knowledge is being evaluated. As the sphere of light continued to grow, all 6 species watched in wonder. Humanity's first contact had become something far more significant than they had imagined. They weren't just meeting other intelligent life, they were standing at the threshold of a legacy left by those who had come before them, and it had all started with a simple 12-second video from Earth. The blue sphere of light continued to grow until it was almost 100 meters across. Inside, images flashed at incredible speed: stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, entire galaxies spinning through their life cycles. The 6 ships remained in formation, their crews watching in stunned silence. Lieutenant Kate Morris was the first to speak on the horizon. Captain, should we maintain position or back away? Captain Bennett studied the readings on his console. All systems are stable. Whatever this is, it's not harming our ship. He looked at the faces of his crew. We stay. Dr. Greg Patel could barely contain his excitement. This could be the greatest discovery in human history. A library of knowledge from countless civilizations. As if responding to his words, the sphere stabilized, and the rapid stream of images slowed. A series of symbols appeared, different from any language they had seen before. Can you make sense of this? Alan asked Olivia. She was already running the symbols through her translation algorithms. It's unlike anything in the alien languages we've been studying, but there's a pattern to it. Give me time. The other 5 species were also attempting to decode the message. The Argelan ship transmitted light patterns that seemed to be analytical in nature. The Meridians sent mathematical equations. The Vex, Tholians, and Quarry all contributed their own methods of interpretation. Steve Carter had been quiet, watching the sphere with intense focus. It's responding to us, he said suddenly. Look, whenever one of our ships sends a transmission, the patterns in the sphere shift. Alan saw it too. It's interactive. Maybe it's learning our languages as we try to learn its. After several hours of combined effort, Olivia made a breakthrough. I think I understand part of it, she announced. It's asking for representatives from each species to enter the sphere. Captain Bennett frowned. Enter it? Is that safe? According to these readings, the sphere is a stable construct, Olivia explained. It's creating a space where different life forms could exist temporarily, despite their biological differences. The quarry ship transmitted. Our ancestors spoke of such meeting places. Neutral grounds where different species could convene safely. The Meridian leader added, we are willing to send a representative if others agree. One by one, each alien species volunteered a representative. The pressure was now on the humans to make a decision. I'll go, Alan said without hesitation. Captain Bennett shook his head. As commander of this mission, I should— No, sir, Alan interrupted respectfully. You're needed here to command the ship. I discovered the returned message. I should be the one to represent humanity. After a brief discussion, the captain reluctantly agreed. Preparations were made for Alan to leave. The ship in a specialized EVA suit. Similar preparations were visible on the other vessels as they each readied their representatives. Before leaving, Alan spoke privately with Steve. If something happens to me in there, make sure they don't lose Lisa's video. Whatever brought use here. It started with her message. That might still be important. Steve nodded and handed Alan something, a small digital frame displaying the video of his sister. Take this with you. Maybe it's still part of the key. When Alan exited the airlock and began moving toward the sphere, he saw 5 other figures approaching from the alien ships. The Argelan representative was a crystal being that glowed with internal light. The Vex sent a smaller version of their containment suits with swirling gas inside. The Meridian was a blue humanoid swimming through space in what looked like a bubble of water. The Tholian representative was an insect-like creature with multiple limbs. The quarry sent a being that resembled a small walking tree. As Alan neared the sphere, he could feel a slight pull drawing him toward it. The other representatives experienced the same effect. Together, the 6 of them crossed the threshold into the blue light. Inside, Alan found himself standing on what appeared to be solid ground, though nothing was visible beneath his feet. The environment was comfortable. He could breathe normally, despite being in what should have been the vacuum of space. His suit sensors indicated perfect Earth-like conditions. The 5 alien representatives stood around him in a circle. Each appeared to be in an environment suited to their biology. The Vex's gases swirled freely without a containment suit. The Meridian floated in a bubble of water. The others similarly existed in their natural states, out in the center of their circle. A new figure appeared. It looked different to each of them. To Alan, it appeared as a tall, slender humanoid made of light. We welcome the 6 who have been chosen, the figure said. Alan heard the words in perfect English, while the others presumably heard them in their own languages. Who are you? Alan asked. Why did you bring us here? I am an interface, a guide created by those you might call the architects. My purpose is to evaluate emerging intelligences, and when they are ready, to offer knowledge. The quarry representative stepped forward, its wooden limbs creaking. Our legends speak of your creators. They seeded the galaxy with life before vanishing. They did not vanish, the guide corrected. They evolved beyond physical form. But before doing so, they created this network of knowledge repositories throughout the galaxy. They wished to help younger species avoid the mistakes that nearly destroyed them. The Tholian representatives' multiple limbs moved in complex patterns. Why were our 6 species chosen? You were not chosen randomly, the guide explained. You were selected because each of you possesses qualities the architects valued, qualities they found essential for long-term survival as a species. The guide gestured, and 6 glowing symbols appeared in the air. Compassion, it said as the first symbol brightened, pointing to the meridians. Adaptation, with the second symbol highlighting the Vex. Harmony for the Tholians, patience for the Quarry, wonder for the Argelans. The sixth symbol glowed in front of Alan. And hope, the guide said, the human quality that impressed the architects most deeply. Alan thought of Lisa's video message, her simple expression of love and hope that her brother would return safely from Mars. That's why you sent back my friend's birthday message. Yes, your species often express hope, even in the darkest circumstances. You look to the future with optimism, despite knowing your own mortality. This quality is rare and precious. The guide expanded its arms, and the space around them filled with stars. Each of your species faces challenges in the near future. Some are external threats. Others come from within. None of you would survive alone. Images appeared showing potential futures. Alan saw Earth suffering from massive climate disruptions. The Meridian world faced a solar flare that would destroy their ocean habitats. The Vex were on the brink of a civil war. The Tholians' hive mind was fragmenting. The Quarry were fighting a silicon-eating plague. The Argelans' home star was becoming unstable. Together, however, the guide continued, you have the knowledge and abilities to overcome these challenges. The Meridian's water management technology could save Earth from drought. The human social cooperation models could help the Vex avoid civil war. The Tholians' collective computing could find a cure for the Quarry plague. Alan understood now. This wasn't just first contact. It was the beginning of something much larger, an alliance of species helping each other survive. Is that why you brought us together? Alan asked. To form an alliance? That is one purpose, the guide acknowledged. But there is another. The space around them shifted again, revealing glimpses of other galaxies, other forms of life, some so alien that Alan's mind struggled to comprehend them. You are not alone in the universe, the guide said. And not all intelligences are benevolent. You 6 species must prepare. A chill ran down Alan's spine as he realized what the guide was telling them. The universe was larger, more complex, and potentially more dangerous than any of them had imagined. And it had all started with Lisa Carter's 12-second birthday message. Alan Wright stood among the 5 alien representatives inside the glowing blue sphere, trying to process everything the guide had revealed. The universe was far more complex and interconnected than humanity had ever imagined. And now, 6 species, who hadn't known of each other's existence a week ago, were being told they needed to form an alliance for their mutual survival. How much time do we have? Alan asked the luminous figure. Before these threats become critical? The guide's form shifted slightly. Some challenges will arise within your lifetimes. Others are more distant, but require preparation now. The Meridian representative, floating in its bubble of water, moved forward. You speak of cooperation, yet our species have just met. How can we build trust so quickly? Through necessity and shared knowledge, the guide answered. It gestured, and a portion of the sphere's interior transformed into what looked like a vast library. Information appeared all around them: star charts, biological data, technological schematics, historical records from countless civilizations. The architects gathered wisdom from 1,000 worlds before they transcended physical form, the guide explained. This knowledge is now yours to share, but it comes with responsibility. The Vex representative's gas form swirled with agitation. What responsibility? To use it wisely. To help rather than harm. To preserve life rather than destroy it. The Tholian's compound eyes reflected the blue light. And if we fail this test, then the knowledge will be withdrawn, and you will face the coming challenges alone. Alan understood the gravity of what was being offered. This wasn't just first contact between civilizations. It was first contact with a legacy of perhaps the oldest species in the galaxy. The stakes couldn't be higher. We need to bring this information back to our people, Alan said. We need time to understand it, to learn from each other. The guide nodded. You will each receive a portion of the library knowledge specifically, suited to your species' needs and challenges. The full library will remain accessible to all 6 species, but only if you work together to maintain the connection. The Argelin's crystalline form shimmered. How will we maintain this connection across such vast distances? Our worlds are light years apart. The architects created a network of nodes like this one throughout the galaxy, the guide said. Once activated, they allow for instant communication and eventually travel between distant points. The guide touched each representative in turn. As its hand reached Alan, he felt a strange sensation, as if information was flowing directly into his mind. Images, concepts, and understandings that would take years to fully process. I have given each of you the coordinates to find the nodes near your home worlds, the guide said. Activating them will require all 6 species working in harmony. The quarry representative, its wooden form creaking slightly, asked, "Why did the architects not remain to guide younger species directly?" The guide's expression seemed to soften. They believed that true wisdom comes from finding your own path, making your own mistakes, and learning from them. They offer knowledge, not direction. The choices must be yours. With that, the guide began to fade. Your time here is limited. Return to your vessels with what you have learned. The future of your species, and perhaps many others, depends on what you do next. As the guide disappeared, Alan and the 5 alien representatives looked at each other. Despite their biological differences, Alan sensed a new connection between them, a shared purpose that transcended their individual concerns. The Meridian was the first to speak. My people face a solar event that will destroy our oceans within 10 years. Without help, we cannot survive. The knowledge I received includes Earth's advanced aquatic habitation designs, Alan offered. We could help you build underwater shelters. The quarry's branches rustled. And my people can share our silicon-based medicine to help Earth's soil regeneration issues. One by one, they began to exchange what they had learned, potential solutions to each other's problems, technologies that could be shared, scientific insights that could benefit all their worlds. When they finally returned to their ships, Alan carried with him not just the digital frame with Lisa's video, but a mind full of new possibilities for humanity. Back aboard the USS Horizon, Alan explained everything to the crew. Their expressions ranged from awe to disbelief to concern. So we're supposed to form an alliance with 5 alien species we just met because some ancient race thinks it's a good idea? Lieutenant Morris asked skeptically. Not just an alliance, Alan corrected. A partnership. Each of us has something the others need. Captain Bennett studied the star charts Alan had brought back. These coordinates for the node near Earth. They're in the asteroid belt. Accessible, but not too close to any major populations. Dr. Patel was reviewing the biological data. This is incredible. The Meridian's cellular regeneration techniques could revolutionize human medicine, and the VEX atmospheric processing could solve our climate issues within a decade. Olivia looked up from her own analysis. The communication protocols alone are worth everything. We could establish instant contact across light years. Steve Carter had been quiet, but now he spoke up. All because my sister sent a birthday message to our brother on Mars. He shook his head in wonder, and the architects thought that message showed hope. It did, Alan said simply. Love across distance. Faith that family connections endure even when separated by space. That's hope in its purest form. Over the next few days, the 6 ships established the foundations of what would later be called the Galactic Concord. Plans were made for future meetings, for exchanges of technology and knowledge, for joint missions to activate the nodes near each of their homeworlds. When the time came to return to Earth, Captain Bennett addressed the crew on the observation deck. Beyond the viewport, the 5 alien vessels prepared to depart for their own worlds. "What we take back to Earth will change everything," the captain said. "Not just the technology or the knowledge, but the understanding that we're part of something larger." Alan watched as the alien ships activated their various propulsion systems. The Argelan vessel shimmered and vanished in a flash of light. The Vex ship seemed to fold into itself and disappear. The Meridian craft dove into what looked like a small whirlpool in space. The Tholian ring spun faster and faster until it shot away like a discharged coil. The quarry vessel sprouted energy tendrils that pulled it rapidly into the distance dot as the horizon turned toward home. Alan took out the digital frame with Lisa's video. He watched the 12-second clip one more time, a young woman smiling, wishing her brother a happy birthday, hoping he would return safely from Mars. Such a simple thing, such a human moment. And yet, it had opened the door to humanity's greatest adventure. Earth awaited their return, unaware that everything was about to change. A new chapter in human history was beginning, one that would take them beyond the solar system and into a galaxy far more wonderful and terrible than they had ever imagined. And it had all started with a single 12-second video from Earth.